Hi everyone, joining us. Hi Abhishek, hi Alice, hi Anil, and hi all those who joined us. We'll start our session soon. We'll just wait for another minute so that in the meantime the rest of the attendees can join in. Once again, thank you guys. Thank you all for joining. We'll soon start the session. Okay, I think we have a lot of attendees already, and let's go ahead with the session. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all those who joined us from across the world. I'm your host, Anish Krishnan, Head of Marketing at QKS Group. Our session today is on Financial Crime and Compliance Outlook 2026, reviewing 2025 and the predictions for the year ahead. To dig deep, we have our experts on financial crime and compliance. I welcome Divya Baranwal, VP and Principal Analyst at QKS Group. Anand Ramaswamy, bringing 20 years of experience, 20 years of hands-on experience in banking and financial, working as Practice Director at QKS Group. And we have Vishal Jagasia, our Associate Director at Financial Crime and Compliance. To take us through, the team will be taking us through the major shifts in 2025, some of the key trends that they have noticed in 2025, some of the strategic priorities, and of course, the predictions for 2026. And thank you all for joining us. And sorry to keep you waiting. And let's go ahead with the session. And over to you, Divya.
Thank you so much, Anish. I welcome everyone for today's session. And uh, thank you for participating and taking out time for today's session. I hope you'll find it useful and some practical implications you can have in your day-to-day working, right? So let me start this webinar by framing the challenge that we all are collectively facing. And yes, I'm talking about financial crime. So, whether we talk about money laundering, whether we talk about sanctions evasion, identity theft, we know that financial crime has become the largest drains on global economy, right? It is now estimated to cost the world up to $2 trillion every year. And as we close out 2025, we are seeing threats evolve faster than we have seen at any point in the last decade. We see digital channels, geopolitical tensions, and the blurring of lines between cyber and financial crime have actually created a risk environment that is definitely more complex, more intelligent, and far more connected. Now, for senior leaders like chief compliance officers and chief risk officers, what this means is that compliance is no longer a tick box. It has become a strategic capability. It is about protecting your institutions, safeguarding your customers' interests, and building trust with regulators and stakeholders. So, in today's session, we are going to break down what truly matters for you. We'll focus on four key pillars. We'll focus on anti money laundering, sanctions and watch list screening, enterprise fraud management, and know your customer. Now, we'll look at some of the major shifts that we saw in 2025, and then we will move into predictions for 2026. To make you aware about what's coming, what's changing, and what your institution should prepare for. So, moving ahead, let's go to the next slide. Before we deep dive into the actual specifics, I'm happy to announce that you all participated in the survey. Thank you so much for your responses. We really did get very good insights from your responses. So just a quick dipstick survey, what the results say to us. So what we saw is that 80% of the people who responded did say that they had strong confidence on their firm's overall preventive controls strategy. So that's very good to hear. At the same time, we saw that 33% of people mentioned that while their organizations encountered a potential fraud situation, the preventive controls did not help them to resolve the issue. So, what we see here is that there is a clear execution gap between what is the expected performance versus what are the actual outcomes. Next slide. Now, here in the next slide, we see that people are confident. They are claiming 72% of people say that they are confident that they know the steps required when a financial crime hits your day-to-day operations. But in reality, we see that this confidence dips when there are real case situations. Also, the top pain points for financial crime and compliance that you guys mentioned were high false positives and alert fatigue, operational inefficiencies and regulatory pressure, and compliance overhead. Now, this dipstick did provide us some good insights. Thank you so much for participating. And the reason why we wanted to show this is because our goal is to equip you all with practical insights and strategic foresight so that you can strengthen your organization's resilience against the next wave of financial crime threats. Next slide. So this is kind of a glimpse of how 2025 has been. If you look at 2025, I can easily say that this was one of the most transformative years for financial crime and compliance. Now, there were four major trends that we observed for financial crime. The first one was the regulatory environment in 2025 was intensifying globally. We did see FATF, AMLD6, FinCEN, all tightening their expectations, particularly around crypto, virtual assets, and real-time payments. Now, what it meant for financial institutions was that more scrutiny, more examinations, and a clear push towards providing a proactive and technology-enabled compliance rather than, following reactive and manual processes. The second thing what we saw in 2025 was on the technology front, and technology was really one of the biggest highlights for us for 2025. We saw, rapid adoption of instant payments, decentralized finance protocols, digital wallets, and all these actually shortened the detection window, and in turn gave fraudsters, more room for executing advanced attacks. At the same time, we also saw advancements happening in generative AI, deep fakes, API driven fintech ecosystem, and all this basically led to more and more instances of synthetic identity fraud, deep fake frauds. There were a lot of mule recruitments and illicit fund we saw moving, not only across traditional trails but across cryptos and new payment trails. Now, um, we also think that 2025 was operationally challenging for the industry because we saw a lot of talent shortages. We also saw that teams had to, work at higher compliance costs. So those were some of the, difficult times for companies. While we did see some silver lining out there, and we did see increased public-private partnership and cross-border data sharing initiatives happening, and that was very good to see because these collaborations ultimately helped institutions, offset some of the resource and capability gaps that they were facing. So that was on the good side. Or a crime surge, definitely you would agree that we saw and heard lot of organized crime activity, AI automated mule networks. There were faster layering techniques. These fraudsters were using. There were synthetic identities, and what in turn it meant was the legacy systems were really tested to their limits. Now, just closing thought on 2025, if I have to say that I feel that all these shifts, be it on the regulatory front, on the technological front, operational or criminal front, it all shaped how compliance and fraud teams were essentially functioning. Now, there were also instances where we could see that financial crime risk is no longer pertaining to just banking sector, right? We could see some ESG concerns arising. We could see supply chain being included in this. We also saw some new asset classes and non-financial sectors like real estate getting included in the purview. So these were some of the highlights for 2025. Now, let's deep dive into each of these technologies. So first, let's take a look at what AML, was in 2025. So can we go back a slide? Um, yeah. So 2025 AML trends, if you have to see, I believe that AI was the highlight. for AML. We could see financial institutions extensively adopting artificial intelligence for anomaly detection because there were a lot of sophisticated crime activities which were happening. And definitely these advanced AI systems were able to reduce false positives dramatically. They were improving, enhancing, improving detection capabilities for organizations. So definitely that was something that we saw. Also we saw that cryptocurrency and decentralized finance ecosystems were getting lot of targeted attacks by fraudsters, and because of that we saw regulatory bodies increasing their focus around crypto, decentralized finance, and emerging payment rails. We also saw increased public private collaboration and data sharing initiatives, which was good. There was definitely some talent shortages in terms of AML expertise. But yes, these were the highlights for AML in 2025. Now let's look at how 2026 is going to be for AML leaders and what you should expect. So now as we project 2026, we believe that AML leaders must prepare themselves for a year which is full of regulatory expansion. There will be a lot of new threat archetypes, and there will be significant operational redesigning. So let's look at regulatory expansion. So here we definitely believe that FinCEN is going to broaden its coverage. There will be tightening of expectations around proliferation finance and crypto travel rule. uh, Also, globally, regulators are going to move uh, towards a more assertive enforcement and even bring towards more newer digital asset entities into the purview. So that is something that's going to happen on regulatory front. On the threat landscape, we are going to expect lot of evolvement in terms of the metaverse economies coming into picture, then more and more synthetic identities getting used. ESG related crimes will also come under the purview. So definitely what all these means is that the risk perimeter is going to expand in 2026. Now, let's look at tech. This is some interesting piece and something to look forward to. So we believe that the AML programs are significantly going to shift from reactive monitoring to predictive intelligence. What it will mean is that there will be a lot of AI. Which is going to be there, and AI will not only detect anomalies. So AI is also broadening its use cases, and it will help anticipate laundering patterns before they get scaled up. Gen AI will also support SAR drafting, QA, investigative guidance. We also predict graph analytics will play a very important role in revealing hidden networks and mule activities. Now, another thing we believe is going to be table stakes is connected case management systems and a single customer view across AML, KYC, and fraud. Now, finally, on the collaboration side, we see that there will be a lot of industry collaboration happening and public-private partnerships expected to evolve. A lot of data sharing networks will come into play. So ultimately, what we expect is that in 2026, there will be deeper collaboration between AML, fraud, and cyber intelligence teams. Let's move ahead. So after AML, we know that any talk about AML can't be complete without the mention of watch list and sanction screening. So let's take a look at what 2025 was for watch list and sanctions space. So definitely this year saw massive growth in terms of sanction list, due to intense geopolitical tensions targeting Russia, Iran, cyber threats, human rights, etc. The evasion challenges we feel was complicated due to cryptocurrency and AI-driven techniques. FinCEN also mandated EDD across previously less regulated sectors. On technology and operational front, we saw advanced screening playing a critical role in identifying aliases, multiple languages. There was expanding scope and including of more entities like crypto wallets, family members, shell companies, and others. Some industries also caught more scrutiny, like mining, energy, technology export. And operational priority we felt was shifting to more real-time compliance, and organizations started integrating screening with AML and KYC essentials. Now let's look at what 2026 holds for sanction and watchlist screening. So here we see definitely on the regulatory expansion, we believe 2026 will have more, assets covered under regulatory purview. Regulators, we believe, will focus more on effectiveness and not on the volume. So that's going to be very important. There will be increased focus on AI model governance and explainability. Emerging threats, we definitely expect supply chain to be, becoming part of this. We expect to see more of AI driven deception, right from deep fakes and synthetic identities. uh, we also believe that institutions will focus more on screening and monitoring of crypto wallet addresses and decentralized finance platforms for any evasion techniques. Tech focus, AI definitely is going to rule this as well. Uh, AI will become mandatory for false positive reduction and alert triage speed, which is again one of the key pain points that you all mentioned you had experience for 2025. So AI will definitely solve that. Uh, Organizations will definitely focus more on real-time data. So they will start shifting to more of API first architectures and have real-time screening into place. We believe graph-based technology are going to be very important to uncover hidden relationships and complex criminal networks. On collaborative model side, we do believe that there will be a lot of information sharing in case of public-private partnerships, information sharing with law enforcements and regulators. There will be global alignment, and we believe that there will be efforts made towards moving, towards a single sanctions list, something like a UK consolidation. Integrated systems, we believe that there will be more of these integrated systems which will combine screening, AML, and KYC into unified platforms. And organizations who will do that will have more holistic risk assessment. So that was for the AML and sanctions front. Now I will pass it on to Anand for, and he will take you through the enterprise fraud space.
Thank you, Divya. That was really great to talk about sanctions and AML trends and predictions further. Uh, Thank you all for giving me the opportunity, and I will take you through enterprise fraud management. Before we start, I just want to have a quick poll of what do we think is the biggest fraud this in the 2025. And for that, let me start with a poll. Um, and hope everybody is able to see it. We'll wait for yes, yes, great, wonderful. Okay, good. Let's get back. I'm going to publish the results now for the purpose of everybody to look at. What do we really look? I hope everybody is able to see the results. It's instant payment app scams, which is 57%, and followed by deep fake enabled social engineering. That's right. These two play a very big role, have played a very big role, otherwise, if I have to say, in 2025, and will be playing a big role for us to really look at how do we really make sure 2026 we get out of this. Let me close the poll and let's get back. Before we start, get deeper into this thing of deepfake dilemma and into instant payment app, I would like to ask a quick question. Right now, could someone fake your CEO's voice and convince your finance team to move money? Do you all think is it possible? If you all think no, it's not going to be possible, or people who think it is going to be possible, yes, you're right. It is going to be it is possible, and people have been doing it. We already see
deepfake CEO scams, uh, causing almost multi-million losses, like the US dollar 25 million CFO deepfake case of Roop in Hong Kong, and the US dollar 35 million deepfake fraud at a global bank in Hong Kong again. So at the same time, look at it. We are having such kind of frauds, and this is increasing day by day and causing a lot of banks to consider, especially all the banks to consider that what do we really invest on. So that's where these days, if you look at to curtail frauds, banks have started in investing into layered defenses. Voice biometric on also on the high risk calls, device fingerprinting, and behavioral analytics on approvals that is being given across. Such frauds, by doing all this, what we are doing is that we are trying to bring down the frauds. We are not trying to completely eliminate it. We are only trying to mitigate them across. That's the first step that we are looking at. But at the same time, when we have such controls in place, deep fake CEO scenarios, these control flag anomalies like what the banks have put across in the speech cadence, device profile, and approval behavior, these all plays a bigger role. The transactions, when banks put such kind of controls in place, the transactions get blocked. They also get escalated to a fraud fusion team, and a multi-million loss is actually prevented. That is what good looks like in a deep fake era. So that is this thing where I would like to talk about deep fake. Going ahead, look, changes. There are changes. Criminals are using the same deep fake technology that we are excited in this room to know more about. They have mastered it. Let us understand, deepfakes are no longer just videos where it is voice cloning, synthetic ID videos, fake live selfies, CEO scams, calls, or AI-generated documents. They are a combination. They are a combination of all of these, along with stolen KYC documents, SIM card swaps, and malware to execute high-value account takeovers. And on social engineering, and also when you look at high-value account takeovers and social engineering scams, people, especially the fraudsters, have industrialized this. They have made fraud as a service. That's something really good, very bad to hear. But for them, if you look at it, they have made it as a service, deepfake as a service, kits to do all these frauds, and voice cloning tools are all cheap, and they are accessible to people, lowering the skill barrier for criminals, organized crime groups. And if you look at it, the scale campaigns with the organized crime groups actually now run scaled campaigns with different multinational banks, and they also use different channels like call center, WhatsApp, email, video KYC. They all run in parallel, and that's why we see a lot of scams happening these days. Okay, how do we really stop it? Is the next question that people will really ask. The background to all of this is something that we really need to work across. If you look at it, we have got people trained in this to capture fraud in our legacy system to look at it, to make sure what comes in with in the form of transactions, identify them across, and this is all proactive. I would say reactive measures than a proactive measure, which we need to really start looking at. The background to, if you look at it, what we need to do now is we are not trained with that high quality of people who have AI knowledge. We are still looking at static documents. We are still looking at simple knowledge-based questions. And we are also still looking at single-factor biometrics. These are all something which fraudsters can bypass as easy as anything else. To overcome all this, if you look at what we are supposed to look at from the bank's angle, we need to deploy deep fake detection technologies on video KYC, and liveliness checks has to happen. Voice biometrics on high-risk calls and adding up setup authentication for sensitive transactions are being looked at. One step back, Anish, still. We are also looking at one more step back, Anish. Yeah. We are also looking at behavioral analytics plus device intelligence and biometrics to flag anomalies, fraud, AML, cyber fusion. All teams are supposed to work together to find out what all these new typologies are and how do we really overcome them across. In one of the recent cases, which I had come across, is on the deepfake. Leading European bank tackled a surge in deepfake enabled frauds, which including AI-generated voice scams and in synthetic IDs. But they were proactive enough. They immediately started deploying real-time deepfake detections. They used voice biometrics and behavioral analytics. And the bank could block almost 90% of deepfake account takeovers. This attempt by the bank could really bring down 40% of the deepfake accounts that the fraudsters were using across. And by that, by reducing the manual review effort, also got completely was brought down to 30%. This strengthened customer protection and showcased the bank's ability to stay ahead of emerging AI-driven threats. To all of this, if I have to just channelize on the screen from deepfake to what all these really looks like, we are getting into real-time payment risk. Payments are faster, but if you look at fraudsters have become fraudsters, and frauds have become faster than trust, is what I would really look at. If you look at the recent survey, UK finance team has reported almost close to 459.7 million in the form of losses from authorized push payments, which we all happen to see. That is one of the biggest, across 232,000 cases, which is a very big number in the whole world. So in UK alone, if you look at it, it's a very big number. So to really curtail this, what we need to do, we'll look at in the next slide on 2026, what do we have for it. But along with real-time payment risk, we also have cyber scam convergence. As per the Association for Financial Professionals, one step back, Anish. Association for Financial Professional Payment Fraud and Controls, that they ran a survey, and we could really find in cyber scam convergence that 79% of organizations experienced at least one payment fraud attempt in 2024, with 63% being on business email compromises. That's one of the biggest threat that we are having. What does this tell us? This tells us that the market growth for the fraudsters are growing up. The Association, again, for Financial Professional Payment Fraud and Control, when they look at it, they look at fraudsters, how they are really working across. From a market growth perspective, if you look at it also, in 2025, we had close to 32 billion frauds happening. But look at it, it is at an annual growth rate, it's moving at an annual growth rate of 15.5% over the period. By 2030, it's expected to be at almost 65.7%. The global fraud detection is really increasing, and we need to be really working towards how do we really mitigate them and reduce them across at the earliest. Moving ahead, I would just like to summarize this by telling seeing and hearing is no longer believing. Static KYC, one-dimensional biometrics are not enough. We need multi-layered verification and continuous behavioral monitoring. Winners will be the institutions that treat deep fake risk as cross-enterprise threat. Moving ahead to our 2026 predictions, like what we have mentioned, fighting fire with fire has been the old trend. we need to get into the new trend. I mean, fire with water was the old trend, and fire with fire is the new trend across. So we will be fighting fire with fire. So what are the regulatory expansions that we look at? Almost close to 70 jurisdictions are tightening fraud and payment rail rules by 2026, is what we predict from QQS Group. Compliance can be optional. It must be baked. I mean, it can't be optional. It must be baked into every transaction. Regulators expect full audit trials and real-time controls. Failing to adopt could result in multi-million-dollar fines and licensing risk. Expanding trade, sanctions, and ESG-linked regulations mean banks must treat fraud as an enterprise risk. They all need to be looked together and just not as an operational cost. Regulatory expansion is no more a burden, it's a weapon. And early compliance adoption becomes a competitive moat in this market. It's very, very important that we make it competitive enough. In the emerging trends, we have quite a few. We have AI-powered deepfake and social engineering, which will drive close to 20 to 30% of the high-value fraud attempts, which may come down because we got all these new tools that's coming up. Trust is now the biggest vulnerability. So we need to really look at people, and we need to really make sure with whom are we really working across with. Fraudsters are combining both cyber crimes, payments, identity attacks into one seamless crime journey, faster than controls that can react. So we have also need to work more faster than what the fraudsters could really think about. Real-time rail means fraud is instant. So detection must also be that quick enough. Remember, our enemy is evolving. Mule networks, synthetic IDs, and crypto funnels make money movement borderless and anonymous. So we need to work at the speed wherein in the 2026, wherein we could make sure, like what Divya was talking about, collaboration with all the AML, KYC, cyber, and everything together on how do we really bring down the mule accounts. The tech focus is going to be very straightforward. AI and ML is going to play the big role. AI isn't just optional. It is the only scalable defense that we can really look for real-time fraud. Behavioral analytics is going to play a big role, and device intelligence and delivering a lot of value add to it. By doing this, we could really look at almost close to 40% of the false positives and really catch more of the real frauds is what we predict. Like what Divya was telling, graph intelligence or analytics would really play a big role in identifying mule networks. Of everything, if you look at by 2026, half of the fraud decisions in leading banks will be by AI assisted. Humans will govern what the AI is detecting across, and we will take an upper hand over the fraudsters because AI has already detected it, and we only need to really look at what is it that it is really giving out to us. Collaborative models, no bank wins alone. Fraud moves faster than any single institution. So we need to all work together. Shared intelligence across banks and regulations in cutting repost mule activity plays a very big role. 40% is what we look in form of active consortia would really work in bringing it down. Public-private data fusion turns isolated, and network disruption missions would really play a bigger role. Collaboration becomes a competitive advantage, and checkbox in the compliance is no more. It's not what people really look at. Compliance has got to be inbuilt. Compliance needs to have a competitive advantage, and people look at how do we really rescale or build up a bigger compliance network across. This is what we look from fraud perspective in QKS and we predict that these all will really come through. With this, that's on the fraud side that I have got. I would like to turn it around to Vishal to take over the next slides. Thank you.
Yeah, hello everyone. Let's take a look at what we saw developments in KYC. What were the driving factors which shaped up the trends in 2025 for the KYC market? There were two majorly that we saw. One was the regulatory push, and one was major developments happening on the technology side. Let's have a look at it one by one. So on the regulatory side, there was stricter ultimate beneficial owner disclosure requirements and the rise of digital identity frameworks. Now, what happened was that the countries accelerated adoption of digital identity wallets and government-backed EID programs, allowing seamless integration with KYC processes. This year, interoperability became a priority, which drove to help organizations onboard users across markets with standardized digital identity credentials. Next, we also saw an adoption of continuous KYC. Now, instead of periodic KYC refreshes, regulators encouraged continuous risk monitoring, which was powered by ML models to enable real-time updates to customer risk profiles and reduce compliance bottlenecks, especially in high-risk financial sectors. Then there were major developments on the technology side. We'll take AI and biometrics, which we saw a lot of things happening on this front. Instant automated verification checks replacing time-consuming manual reviews. So what happened was there was a growth of multimodal biometrics. KYC solutions, they increasingly combined facial recognition, voice biometrics, liveness detection, and behavioral biometrics for stronger identity validation. As this multi-signal approach, it helped detect deepfakes, synthetic identities, and impersonation attacks more accurately. Next, what we saw was the AI first KYC orchestration. So in this year, we saw shift from FIs from rule-based verification to AI-first KYC orchestration platforms that dynamically adjust verification flows based on risk to reduce onboard friction, improve fraud detection, and enable continuous identity monitoring throughout the customer lifecycle. So these were the major changes. Leading KYC and know your business solution providers, they have strengthened their identity verification capabilities in 2025, offering sophisticated document validation, liveness detection, and continuous monitoring. Forward-thinking institutions, which we see many of them, they discovered opportunities for personalization in banking services by sharing KYC data intelligently across different business functions, while also maintaining the privacy safeguards. So this is what we saw as the trends in 2025, and it was majorly the push was from the regulatory side and major developments on happening on the technology side. Let's take a look at what 2026 has in store for the KYC market. Whatever was enforced in 2025 by the regulators will spill over into 2026 as well. So let's take a look what continues from 2025 moving into 2026. Digital identity frameworks and UBO disclosure emphasis, which is going to continue in 2026. The momentum from 2025's digital ID initiatives will accelerate as governments, banks, and fintechs will adopt interoperable identity wallets. Next that we see is the cross-border KYC data sharing frameworks. This will catch up next year as cross-border KYC via reusable IDs reduces onboard onboarding friction and expands financial inclusion while lowering the verification costs for institutions. So this we are going to see will catch up in the coming year. Emerging threats, we see there will be no time to relax in the coming year also, because the advanced identity fraud techniques will triple in sophistication. We will see a continued rise of deepfake synthetic identities and impersonation attacks. Deepfake volume will rise sharply in 2026, pushing vendors to deploy real-time multimodal liveness, sensor-based inference, and deepfake provenance scoring. Model ensembles and anomaly detectors will be embedded across onboarding, ongoing monitoring, and high-risk transactions. Beyond facial biometrics and document checks, 2026 will introduce a wider adoption of voice prints, gait analysis, micro behaviors, and device DNA. These additional signals will strengthen fraud resistance as impersonation attacks, deepfakes, and synthetic identities become harder to detect with vision-only systems. There is a lot that will be happening on the tech side, the tech focus. Let's take a look at it one by one. Gen AI-driven CDD AutoFresh based on dynamic events. Now this will enable continuous monitoring of customer risk by automatically updating profiles whenever dynamic events occur, such as changes in ownership, sanctions status, transactional behavior, or adverse media signals. Now, instead of periodic reviews, AI agents will trigger the real-time reassessment and documentation, which will reduce the manual workload and minimize regulatory gaps. This shift will make CDD more proactive, accurate, and responsive to emerging risk patterns in 2026. Yes, definitely a key capability, behavioral biometric will see an integration. So this will become a core KYC trend in 2026 as institutions will move beyond static identity checks towards continuous passive verification. Now, by analyzing patterns such as typing rhythm, mouse movement, gait, and interaction behavior, firms will be able to detect anomalies indicative of impersonation or account takeover in real time. This will strengthen the identity assurance throughout the customer lifecycle while reducing friction for legitimate users. Next is the federated KYC utilities that will be gaining adoption in 2026. This will gain traction as financial institutions will increasingly adopt shared privacy-preserving frameworks to verify customer identities without exchanging raw data. Using cryptographic techniques and distributed architectures, institutions can validate identity attributes collaboratively while they maintain data sovereignty. This model will definitely reduce duplication of KYC efforts. It will lower the compliance costs and will also improve onboarding speed across borders. Next is the single customer view across these three segments, AML, KYC, fraud. Now, a unified customer view across AML, KYC, and fraud will become a core requirement in 2026 as institutions break down siloed risk conditions to gain holistic insight into customer behavior. Now, by merging identity data, transaction patterns, and fraud signals into a single risk profile, firms will be able to detect anomalies earlier and streamline investigations. This integration will improve decision accuracy, reduce operational overhead, and will strengthen the enterprise-wide financial crime prevention. There is also quite a lot going to happen on the blockchain side, where blockchain-based identity solutions for secure credential storage will gain stronger traction in 2026 as financial institutions they seek tamper-proof, portable, and user-controlled identity mechanisms. By storing verified credentials on decentralized ledgers, organizations will then be able to reduce duplication of KYC checks, prevent document forgery, and accelerate onboarding across institutions. This shift will enable higher trust, interoperability, and auditability while maintaining strong privacy protections. Perpetual KYC is also going to be the norm. This will become a standard in 2026 as regulators and institutions shift from periodic reviews to continuous event-driven monitoring of customer risk. Instead of annual or multi-year refresh cycles, real-time data signals such as behavioral changes, transaction anomalies, or adverse media, they will automatically trigger reassessments. This will enable faster detection of emerging risks and ensure customer profiles remain accurate and compliant at all times. The next will be the liveness detection improvement in identity verification. Now, liveness detection, this is a very key capability in identity verification. It will advance significantly in 2026 as identity verification systems combat increasingly sophisticated deepfakes and spoofing attacks. Enhanced multimodal techniques combining with facial micro-movement analysis, device telemetry, and passive behavioral cues. It will deliver stronger assurance without adding friction to the user experience. These improvements will help institutions maintain high verification accuracy while meeting stricter global regulatory expectations for biometric security. Let's take a look at the collaborative models and how they're going to help. End-to-end digital identity and KYC trust frameworks. Now, this will also gain momentum in 2026 as governments, banks, and fintechs move towards shared interoperable identity infrastructures. These end-to-end models will enable secure credential reuse across institutions, reducing onboarding friction while improving fraud resilience. Now, by standardizing verification rules and sharing validated identity attributes, ecosystems will be able to lower compliance costs and create a more unified cross-border digital identity landscape. Next is the fusion centers. Now, fusion centers that unify AML, fraud, and cyber intelligence will become a defining trend in 2026 as institutions break down operational silos to counter increasingly blended financial crime threats. These collaborative models will allow shared analytics, risk scoring, and real-time information exchange across teams, improving the ability to detect complex multi-vector attacks. By integrating KYC insights with fraud and cyber telemetry, organizations will be able to achieve faster escalation, strong threat containment, and more comprehensive customer risk profiling. So what we'll see in 2026 will be a system consolidation across business functions, which will enable smoother processes with KYC data intelligently shared between onboarding, transaction monitoring, and customer service, while maintaining appropriate privacy controls and regulatory compliance. So this is what we will be seeing in 2026 as we move ahead.
Great. Next slide is basically if I have to summarize all the predictions that we had for 2026, we can see that two themes come across very strongly. And what we can say is that if 2025 was the year of acceleration, 2026 is the year of convergence. Now, convergence in terms of the industry we believe is already witnessing a shift happening towards converged financial crime operating models that is breaking down traditional silos. But what the convergence means in practical terms is that risk scoring must be unified across domains. What we are saying is that investigations must be connected through a single case management system, and data flow must flow seamlessly across identity, behavior, transactions, devices, and sanctions. Another theme that we see is on the threat emergence. So 2026 will definitely see threats escalating right from deep fake, AI-generated synthetic identities, and digital personas. We will see increasing use of crypto, decentralized finance, and instant payment trails for fraud activities. We can say that 2026 will reward institutions who embrace convergence and will penalize those who continue to operate in silos and legacy models. Next slide. So here, the next question would be, so with all these insight, how do you go back and build sustainable FCCM resilience and make your organization prepared for 2026? So the answer that we have for you is you have to balance three key pillars. You have to balance people, process, and technology. Now, what I mean from a people standpoint is that the shift must be from volume based staffing to focusing on skill driven and tech augmented roles. We already see that Gen AI and automation is absorbing a lot of repetitive work and also helping with a lot of alert volumes, be it level 1 to level 3. So we are suggesting that analysts need to be cross skilled across AML, fraud, and identity intelligence. Now, from a process perspective, what we are saying is that the focus of organizations need to shift to a proactive risk architecture. Workflows need to be more connected across AML, fraud, cyber, and data should be shared. There should be shared taxonomies. Organizations should focus more on real-time preventive controls. Now, on the third front, which is the technology front, we must move from what was earlier a fragmented tool stack to a platform that is harmonized. Now, we will see more of AI first ecosystems, which are powered by capabilities like entity resolution, network analytics, and real time risk scoring. And these will definitely empower organizations with competitive advantage and will give the edge in the year which is definitely going to see a lot of fraud attacks and different threat vectors. So this is kind of the three pillars which we suggest that every organization should focus on. And next slide will just show a quick a deep dive on what are the emerging technologies. Now, I'll not take more time on this because kind of Anand and Vishal have already iterated it, but just summarizing it for the group. So we believe that four technologies will kind of be foundational next year. AI and machine learning definitely becoming table stakes, and lot of improvements, advancements already happening from vendor front. In AIML, we are seeing real-time risk scoring, we are seeing behavioral analytics, Gen AI-driven investigations, and everything is kind of focused towards reducing false positives and strengthening detection. We'll also see blockchain and zero knowledge proof. So, imagine validating a customer's identity without, ever viewing their sensitive data. So that kind of, privacy coming into picture. We'll see biometrics and device IDs playing a very important role because what we are fighting is the deep fake attacks. So liveness detection, behavioral biometrics will play a very significant role here. And definitely real-time analytics going to be very important if we are trying to look at crypto frauds, or if we are trying to stop instant payment frauds. So real-time analytics will play a very important role. Next, Anand will take you through, we have prepared some strategies and action plan for 2026. So I would ask Anand to take you through this.
Thank you, Divya. So, strategies for the action for 2026 and the action plan. If you look at it, most of it is what we have already spoken about. We have spoken about what predictions we have done. We have looked at in AML. We have looked at in sanctions. We have looked at in fraud and also in KYC. So I'm just going to tell you what are the major action plans that we need to look at. We need to look at reducing the false positives through by investing into AI tools. We need to look at faster investigations. We also need to look at better true positive detections, which we look at close to 20 to 30% would really give us a very good faster investigation methodology. We also look at behavior and network analytics. By doing all this, we enable that real-time risk detections across border payments would really increase, and boosting regulatory confidence with stronger auditability would also help them across. The workforce efficiency is projected to rise around 40 to 50% with analytics shifting from manual checks, which people have been doing with the help of analysts, from manual checks to high-value judgmental work, which I had already spoken about. AI would transform again from proactive to intelligence-driven capability that reduces the cost while improving customer experience in the compliance world put together. If you look at it in the enhanced collaboration world, this is more to really work across on high-value intelligence from public-private partnerships by sharing information. Faster complex case resolutions would really come through. Fewer repeated mule attacks, and the fraud across consortium members would really come down by almost close to 25% if we have a better enhanced collaboration. That should be the thought that we should be really looking at, and the action plan would be to really get into community kind of an analytics, which would really help us across. Regulatory readiness, from a readiness point of view, if you look at regulatory expectations are going to be high. Readiness means continuously monitoring into your AML, sanctions and data privacy changes by embedding policies before they become mandatory to us. So which means to say we need to really work on it very quickly enough. There's going to be 100% coverage of new rules mapped in compliance framework, which also would really help the banks and fintechs by bringing fewer remediation projects from the regulators. If you look at integrating ESG link, would improve accuracy in risk scoring and strengthen regular coincidence. I have a lot of confidence with the people. Shift compliance from reactive or fixed after audit mode would change to a predictive, always current controlled environment. This also regulatory readiness means continuously monitoring global AML requirements and start working on it. On the talent and training, like what Divya had already stated, there's going to be a lot of changes. We are going to move from L1 activities being completely automated. Our team will start looking at judgment-based decision making. Compliance would 100% compliance, personal certified in AI governance, data literacy would be required enough. We would also look at banks have already started looking at co-pilots. So there will be uplift into investigating productivity by using co-pilots, unified case views, and guided investigations. Onboarding time is going to really get reduced across is what we need, and we need to plan across so that we get more time for investigating purpose and bring down the onboarding, reduction in onboarding and training time together. Increase in retention of high-performing staff as workload shift from repetitive clearance to meaningful intelligence work. So it's no more going to be an data entry job. It's going to be a job which people have to really put in their mind across. This having said, on the risk assessment side, we have already spoken on what we need to really look at, which should really be more of conducting regular comprehensive audits. Cryptocurrency exposures would really come through. You have got AI-related risk, which needs to be really looked upon, and these are the places which the regulators would really look on it regularly and bring in and would be audited very frequently. So if you look at these 5 pillars, would be the major action plan that we need to look at in the strategies for 2026. Anishka, if you can move ahead.
Great. So in the wake of time, we'll quickly summarize what we have for you. So just a slide back, our kind of the path that we ask you to take is, evaluate your current capabilities, identify gaps, establish some baseline matrix across AML, fraud, KYC functions, define a target operating model which will integrate and leverage AI automation, advanced analytics. The implementation we suggest should be phased, where you start with, high risk areas and then, kind of move across. Continuous improvement is going to be very important, and definitely focus on innovation and staying ahead of threats will be the key. Next slide is, uh, as you prepare for next year, here are few call to action. So when you go back, we want you to assess couple of things. So assess your current compliance maturity, identify critical gaps, develop an integrated technology roadmap, invest in AI and advanced analytics if you aren't already. Build some collaborative partnerships and upskill your compliance and fraud teams. So that is it. I am, we are very thankful for you to attend this, webinar. We are absolutely running short of time. We have a few questions and we will get back to you through email about that question. So there's a question on crypto and what should be the strategy. We have covered a lot of it through the presentation as to what the focus should be, including crypto as one of the feeds for your organization, not keep it as a separate parallel track, but include as part of your monitoring, strengthen your KYC, entity resolutions, and definitely focus more on real-time typology. So these are a couple of things, but definitely we'll give a detailed answer to you. So that is it from our side. I invite Anish to just
Thank you,
quickly
Divya.
sign off. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Divya. Thank you, Anand. And thank you, Vishal, for taking us through. And it was definitely an insightful session on fraud, KYC, and AML. And I'm sure the financial professionals and the banking professionals are now better prepared to tackle 2026 and the challenges ahead for them. Thank you all for taking us through your insights. And to all those who couldn't join us live, or to all those who want to go back and then revisit the session, it is available on our website. Go to www.qksgroup.com. And do follow us on LinkedIn to stay updated with our upcoming webinars for 2026 and the latest trends, or there's something to look for in banking and payments. Thank you so much for everybody who joined us. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a safe 2026.
Thank you all. Have a good day.